Well, welcome everyone to the Technology Source virtual roundtable. Today's event, 6 hidden costs of business smart services. We've got some special guests we're going to intro in just a minute, but I want to tell you a little bit about Technology Source first. As a technology advisory firm, Technology Source works alongside your team to create best-in-breed solutions. We represent over 500 providers in managed IT, cybersecurity, customer analytics, AI, telecom, and of course, mobility. Technology Source works closely with our partners to reduce operational expenses and improve efficiencies while helping to deliver an outstanding experience for their customers. We do bring some additional value and leverage to the sale, so I want to talk to you a little bit about that. Escalation support is a big one. Both during implementation and post-sale, it's become increasingly hard in the technology space to reach a human being. In fact, so many companies now have eliminated toll-free numbers and eliminated the option of talking to a human, which becomes very frustrating, especially when you have an outage. One of the reasons why we love working with SpectraTel, which we'll tell you a little bit about here in a minute. Leverage, right? So as a advisory firm and a distributor, we have a lot of leverage as our suppliers want us to recommend them. And that recommendation does require that they're responsive to you. So that does assist you in different areas along the way, from escalation of tickets to negotiation. Recommendations, we don't just provide pricing. We also have a 15-point selection checklist that we use as the criteria for making a recommendation. So we'll help you understand why we recommend a particular service provider over another, and that'll help you make the right decision and ensure a great implementation. Negotiation is another big part. So often we get asked to do bids. We just find that bids just don't really deliver a low price, right? So when you already make that decision, we'll go to work and negotiate with our providers in order to bring the best possible price to our clients. Budget creation, we understand there's projects out there that you need to get to, and in some cases, the budget's just not available. And we can assist in many ways, looking at your mobile bills, looking at your internet, looking at your voice service, looking at other data services to find that savings that becomes the budget. So the cost of internet, as an example, between 2009 and 2019 was reduced by 92%. So it does make sense to look at these things periodically. And if you are short of capital, you are short of budget for a project, let us know. We can certainly help. The last thing I want to touch on is our quarterly business reviews, where we do speak with our clients frequently to understand their upcoming projects, their goals, their objectives, so we can align with you and bring you the solutions to enable the cost savings, the efficiencies, and optimizing the customer experience as we promised at the beginning. 20 years in the business, 4,000 clients in 60 countries around the world, and we have 350 trusted advisors that can work alongside of our client partners. And that brings us to the amazing folks we have on the call today. We've got a couple of mobility experts from SpectraTel, Chris Whitaker and Jess Anderson. Chris, give us the 30-second overview of your background and why you're an expert. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Yeah, I've been doing this for a better part of 20 years. I love solving business problems with technology, and spent the first half of my career really just on traditional telecom, circuits, fiber, coax, dial tone. And about 7 years ago, really pivoted to all things wireless and mobility and Internet of Things. Definitely that next generation of technology. And just really enjoy sharing what I know and helping solve problems and save time and money using these technologies.
Yeah, I know you're down at a show in Atlanta trying to glean as much information as possible to keep you on that cutting edge. So we're glad to have you on the call.
Yeah.
And then we got Jessica Anderson, Channel Director, SpectraTel. Jessica and I have known each other for, I don't want to say how long, so really make us look old, Jess, but give us a quick overview of your background if you don't mind.
Sure. I've been in the business for about 24 years. I love helping clients. I love handcrafting solutions to solve problems. I'm here to help support any of your needs. So let us know how we can help. We're here to help and have conversations and delve in to identify the best solution for you.
Great. Well, I thought at this point we might go through a couple of questions. I know I'm interested in learning more about the technologies that you're bringing to the market, but I think there's so many of our client partners that can use some help in the mobility space. As our teams have all gravitated, away from laptops and over to iPads and iPhones, and our office phones are covered in dust, and it's the mobile device, right? So with that comes additional challenges that we need to plan for. And this discussion today is going to shed some light on a lot of those ways that we can offer assistance. So this very first question, what types of businesses can benefit the most from a managed monthly mobility service?
When I look at the mobility or the business ecosystem that we have today, first and foremost, I find it's almost hard to think of a business not using them. But the ones that we're seeing, if you're in one of the industries like retail, everything used to be a clipboard is now a tablet. Everything used to be a pen and paper. Even in restaurants and hospitality, it's now some type of device. Logistics and warehousing, and even transportation. So many things that used to be recorded on a tablet. A clipboard is now an iPad or a Samsung, device. Even Zebra devices, another name brand that if you're in that business, what that is. So it's so much more than just what you would think. It's kind of healthcare, another area we see just tons of evolution away from a paper chart to something that's a digital format. Even most of the time you go to the doctor now, you don't sign in on a list. You're pecking away on some kind of tablet. So hospitality, healthcare, retail, logistics, even K through 12. I mean, think about at least my generation, we were issued 4 or 5 school books, and it broke your clavicles because your backpack was heavy. They're just issuing tablets now, and everything's digital. So it's a fantastic opportunity to just add value and help manage those ecosystems.
Absolutely. In fact, I was just shopping last weekend and went into a retail store, and I was amazed at the ability of the associate to be able to tell me that they've got it in stock. Let me go find this item, as I couldn't find it, right? And I think situations like that are perfect when you're trying to deliver a better customer experience. And I think that frustration of trying to find what you're looking for is becoming more and more a challenge for retailers, as a lot of their items are online now. And I find that if I can't find it, oftentimes I resort to the web and I go find somebody online that has it, and that business loses that client. So I think mobility does drive a much better experience and drives a faster response. We're all ADD, we're all scrolling, right? So no one is going to sit and look through the clothes for too long before they get frustrated and want to order online, and maybe from a competitor. So I think mobility brings a much better experience. Jess, anything that you wanted to add, or did we cover everything?
Well, as an expert shopper, I agree, especially when you can't find what you're looking for and they're able to just pull it right up and have it shipped directly to your house. So that they're not missing out on my sale, right? And so it's a win-win for everybody.
No, I agree. Mobility is definitely changing everything, as we could have expected. Can you provide a brief overview of the benefits of the managed mobility service? I know we talked about a couple just now, but I think it'd be helpful to kind of give us the laundry list.
Yes. Yeah, and repetition sometimes is a good thing. Like you said, there's a lot of information to absorb. If this is a new topic to you, sometimes you need to hear it a few times. So I think we definitely have some good content for you. So the benefits, right? It's taking a manual process that you have no visibility into other than a stack of papers or maybe a hundreds if not thousand pages PDF, and trying to become efficient and effective. So if E&E is something that I've always been a student of. I love the topic of how can you make your business more efficient and effective. You can have one without the other, and that's the challenge. If you're in operations or if you're at the C-level, how can you challenge yourself? Take inventory. Where are you not as effective or as efficient as you like? I mean, effective, you hit your numbers, the customer satisfaction scores are great, but you're just crushing the budget and to get it done. How can you balance those things out? So to me, that's where I think managed mobility comes in, and it's often kind of a lost topic. Most organizations that I work, and again, been doing it 7-8 years just on this topic, it's just a necessary evil. It's $30,000 a month. In fact, medium to large companies are spending more on mobility than they are their terrestrial landline surface, and their circuits and their fiber. So, tried to add the value there of giving them the visibility, becoming more efficient and effective, and giving the right tools. Most companies don't have mobility policies for their employees, and they certainly don't have the right tools to manage and become as efficient and effective as they should be.
No, great stuff. Jess, anything you want to add?
No, Chris pretty much covered that. It is nice to have visibility, right? Because then you can make decisions based on the data that you have in front of you. And of course, with real-time data, that's, very important. So just adding on top of what Chris said, but huge benefits.
Absolutely. One of them, obviously, is cost savings, right? For many organizations, mobile device users are placed on unlimited data plans to eliminate surprise overage charges. How does a mobile device management solution help businesses contain costs, right? And we see the figure on the right, 30% improvement in cost savings. Where's that coming from, Chris and Jess?
Jess, do you want to have comments first, and then I can transition and maybe go to the portal and show that tool?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. So when we're taking inventory and we're looking at the current spend, we're realizing a lot about each of the users. We're able to quickly identify what plans all of the users are on. We're also able to identify any of the users that are no longer using services, and therefore we're able to jump in, make modifications, and ultimately save quite a bit of money because of the visibility that we have within our tools. I'll let you take over from here, Chris, and give an example of what that looks like.
So what we're looking at here is one of the modules in our portal. So we actually have a software. Now, not only do we have processes, but we leverage software, shocking to technology. And because we have APIs into our customers' carrier accounts, we're getting real-time data. And when you're talking about the easy button is to put everybody on a unlimited plan. Well, that's not always the best option. If you have a group of power users and this is their job to consume, tons of data, maybe that's the right answer. But that's not what we're finding. So this particular portal here stack ranks all the users, everybody that's on the bill, even if it's multiple carriers. In this case, you see we have a little icon here for Verizon. If you had AT&T, Rogers, TELUS, Verizon, etc., T-Mobile, you would just select which ones you want. All of them are, if you're drilling into a particular carrier, and you see all your power users. You see the current month, the rolling 3-month average, the 6-month average. So this is real data. It's really hard to get from your bill or even your carrier portal. And here is the part I want to show you. When you look at your ecosystem of devices, we give you this real-time data of looking at your users based on 0 to 2 gig usage, 2 to 5 gig usage, and so forth. So when you look at over half of the companies using less than 5 gigs, if you're putting everyone on the unlimited plan, which can be $100+, you could put them down on these lower plans that's right sized, tons of savings. And you're probably thinking, well, Chris, that's a no-brainer. Of course it is. Here's the problem, though. Again, this particular example, this customer has about 900 phones, and so that means around 400 plus of them are on the wrong plans. Who's going to call in and make the phone calls and change the plans, or log into the portal, change the plans? Well, we'll do it automatically through the APIs, no phone calls, no emails, and we're just real-time right-sizing the account for all things related to data. Just one more shot on this, and I'll let it go. But again, the portal has so much great information. You can see here, looking at a 90-day trend. Again, this is data. It's just really hard to get outside of a tool like this. And anyone in accounting, finance, and even in IT now is so much a part of the budgeting process. You can look at the data usage going up and to the right over a 90-day period, and kind of flattens out. But the line count, the red line or purple line, it went down because of optimization. We found devices with no usage, for example, another area that's a huge overspend, 10 to 15%, not uncommon for large organizations with hundreds of devices. As a result, the invoice charges went down. That's just not many times in the world that your consumption goes up, but your invoice goes down. So properly managing and using technology and software and a process that we have here, that's how we're able to do that.
And the
I
best
give
part
it back
is
to you.
easy to use systems that you employ. So that is a portal that's easy for users to get on board with and utilize, and it doesn't require a whole lot of training and expertise to click around and figure out what you're doing.
Well, even the training, I'm glad you mentioned that, because we'll obviously do a very thorough onboarding, and then we'll do a monthly check-in call. We normally the first 6 months where we're checking in, making sure you understand how to use the portal, you're seeing the alerts, you're seeing is there areas that we can kick in some more automation? Because half our customers are like, "Hey, Chris, we just need the tool and want you to make us aware of these areas. We'll manually go into the portal and make the changes." Or some customers are like, "Look, we're in the widget business. We don't want to deal with this." And there's different levels of service you would subscribe to, basically, and we can just take care of it all for you and just show you the savings and tell you what you need to pay the carrier for. So definitely some options there. It can be a very customized approach.
No, great. No, it's very easy to use. Okay. So we're talking about savings. It's always important to touch on this, right? Because larger businesses often do get great pricing from the large wireless companies. Why would a company want to transfer their wireless business to a managed mobility provider? Aren't they going to get the same pricing through Verizon or AT&T? Why do they need you?
Man, Jess, you want to chime in first, and I can fill in shit.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is, they're going to continue to have a contract. They're going to continue to pay and work directly with the provider. So that's not going to impact them at all. We're an over-the-top solution. We're coming in and providing tools and resources, visibility, so that we're optimizing and giving that client the most value, right? We are right sizing their entire mobility play, and they're continuing to work with each of those vendors.
Yep. And exactly right. And the way I see it, there's kind of roughly 3 ways you attack this. You go status quo, doing what you're doing today, doing it in-house, you're insourcing it, you're making those phone calls to your account rep at the carrier, and you're disputing charges. And I actually heard a CFO one time saying, "I spent $100 to get a $4 credit." Does that sound familiar to you? So if you have hundreds and hundreds of devices and you're growing, especially if you're growing, the carriers love you. I mean, they're in the business of selling SIMs. They sell network, and as a side byproduct, yes, they'll give you access to your tablets and your smartphones. But at the end of the day, their business is connectivity. And if you have a large device account, especially, you get some great rates, and we don't want to mess that up. In fact, all we're doing is there's a difference between having a great contract and then real-time optimization, because things change in the environment you have, especially if you think about your business. Is it seasonal? Our retail clients, about this time of year, they're starting to gear up for the holiday season, right? So very seasonal, and they even bring in seasonal employees. One of our largest retail customers has approximately 20,000 devices, and they generally bring on another 1,000 or so across the country during this holiday season. And so outsourcing that management part is where we come in, but they still take great benefits of having that buying power with the carrier. So that's, one is status quo. 2 is what we're proposing, outsourcing the management. The numbers I can run and have run, it's about 50% less expensive to outsource it to us than to do it in-house. Because again, the more devices you have, and again, it's mostly smartphones and tablets, but it also can be those handheld Clover, Toast, and Zebra devices, other commercial brands out there. Those are all handheld things that make you connect to cellular. Maybe they're Wi-Fi only. Even those need Helpdesk and the inventory management. There's a lot of things that can even go beyond cellular. But if you were to, the third option, but there are what you call an MVNO out there, and they want to take and rip and replace all this to their SIM, and so it's there's a lot of moving parts there, and frankly, you're losing control of your carrier relationship. So if you want to know more about that, I can definitely help advise the pros and cons of that. But the approach we're taking is do no harm, no rip and replace. Let's meet you where you are, identify the gaps, and fill in the gaps and add value and save you time and money. So that's the ultimate goal.
So you're gonna work alongside of the provider as opposed to becoming the provider. And I think that's an important distinction because I've had clients that have went and signed with a provider that ripped and replaced. And then when they wanted to move their services later on, they kind of held them hostage and made it very
That's right.
difficult for them to move those lines. And Jess, we've probably encountered that at some point along the way. Anything you want to add, Jess, before we move on to the next one?
No, that. I think we answered that one.
Great. Well, 74% of enterprise leaders report experiencing a data breach due to a mobile security issue. How does a mobile management solution protect our client partners? Cybersecurity, obviously, big issue, right? We're seeing a lot of challenges with generative AI, a lot more attacks, ransomware. It's just a lot of things happening. And with mobile users out there using these mobile phones, they're not always secured because they're not on a corporate program. And I think, I want to let you explain how
Sure.
you help businesses secure these devices and prevent these types of incursions.
Yeah, absolutely. There's 6 components largely of managed mobility, and we cover them all. But the 2 that I find are really non-negotiable. So if you're listening, you're responsible for the network. Maybe you have some budget responsibilities. I mean, the 2 areas we're talking about really today is MDM, which is a software that sits on top of our operating system. A lot of you probably use or are familiar with Microsoft Intune, for example. We provide IBM's MOS 360, which is another very similar, does basically the same thing. It's like bottled water. They all kind of do the same thing. It's just depending on what the portal looks like and what you're trying to accomplish. So even if you are using Intunes, the next question is, how often are you checking your policies? You have your employees broken up in the appropriate groups, like your executive team. Maybe they have a different set of rules versus your subcontractors. If you have some contractors are seasonal employees, part-time employees, you don't want to give them keys to the kingdom. So by pushing out a properly well thought out MDM strategy and software is critical. It is an extension of the network. It's another endpoint. Seen some terrible horror stories. Again, it's not a problem till it's a problem, right? That's the other reason I think sometimes this is easy to overlook. It's not a problem till it's a problem, and then when it is, it's usually a pretty big problem. Just one case in point recently, an organization had corporate devices, and this can also happen with a BYOD device, and I'll touch on BYOD in a moment, but corporate-owned device, iPhone, the employee logged into their own personal iCloud account, went to the Salesforce.com app, downloaded customer records, contracts, just all kind of proprietary data, quit the job, and went to go work with a competitor across town. The client, the following week starts getting calls from their top customers going, hey, your former employee is calling us now, trying to convert us over to your competitor. And strangely, he knows when our contract expiration date is, et cetera, et cetera. And this particular client I was talking to, he's like, Chris, we got to nip this in the bud. I mean, we have no way to stop this. Can you do that? And the answer is yes. With a properly deployed MDM, you can actually restrict what iCloud, or not even iCloud, cloud in general, even Google Drive, you can restrict what that device can push data to or pull data from. You can tell it only access the company OneDrive, for example, if you're using Microsoft or Google Drive. So that's just one example of where it's just so important to be able to control how these devices are used. And for BYOD, there's a lot less you can do. You don't own the device. If you're giving employees $50 or more stipends to help them cover their cell phone bill, by the way, you could probably get it cheaper by just going straight to the carrier, depending on how many devices you have. And generally, it's 100 plus. You'll find there's discounts. But even for the BYOD environment, you can push out what you call containerized apps. That's another challenge for companies because everything's becoming an app now, right? There's always an app for that. You think about even Salesforce.com, it's an app. Bamboo HR is an app. ADP for their billing or their payroll and even taking time off, it's all an app. So you can push down a containerized app via an MDM to your employees or even contractors, saying, "Hey, this is what you're allowed to use," and access them through this portal. The downside is it's really hard to stop someone from going to office.com on a browser. But as long as they're in that containerized app, when they leave the company or their time is done, you can pull that container off remotely, and now you pull all that data with it. So there's conversations to be had around BYOD. I have found somewhat of a trend. A lot of companies left corporate-owned devices years ago because of all the reasons we're talking about. It's complex. But because of cybersecurity concerns and corporate data, corporate espionage, they're going back to it because now you can have total control over how that device is used.
That's a great story and a great explanation. And it happens all the time. And a lot of our business owners are concerned about their employees leaving and having all these addresses and phone numbers in their phone. They can literally take their customer base with them, to your point. Justin, did we miss anything?
No, that was well said.
Okay. How does using a mobile management solution help improve asset utilization? We're seeing here in this illustration on the right, 60% improvement. Where's that coming from?
Yes, if I could go back to my demo here.
Yep, hold on. Culture, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Dun, dun. Okay, so the last time I pivoted over here, I was already in the business intel section. Of course, there's an audit section that this is where the software actually audits everything for you. Account services section where you can make all those move ad changes, or we could do it for you. It's a very customized solution. But talking about assets, let's talk about that. That was the question. There's a lot of value in these things. So, I've actually talked to customers. Again, the bigger the customer, the more likely you're getting free devices from the carrier because it's all subsidized. And as long as you're on a 12-month contract, or it's 99 cents, or maybe it's free, there's still value there. And what is historically kind of the process is when a new hire starts for a company, IT gets the ticket, new hire's coming, they go to the portal, they order a new phone. Well, that's a new contract, that's a new line. There's an ETF on that. If that employee doesn't work out for whatever reason, and they don't make their 90-day probationary period, they get let go, and then IT says, oh, they're not here anymore. They terminate the line. Well, there's an ETF there. So a lot of companies don't think about that, or don't even realize that's happening. And it's triggering all these additional costs. And again, the more devices you have in your system, in your ecosystem, the more likely this is happening. So our approach is, hey, we have this depot section that will actually show all the devices you have. And again, we're API and into the source. We're getting this information from the carrier because they've sent you all these phones, and we know which ones are not being used, right? And we even have a process when someone puts in a 2-week notice, or if someone's leaving the organization. We even have an automated process through our ticketing system here, where this system will send an email to that end user and give them a list of instructions and say, hey, attached is a prepaid return envelope, a label. Go to your local UPS or FedEx store and return this device back to us. So that device could come to SpectraTel or even to the customer, your location, I should say. And by doing that, now you're creating this depot of all these devices, and clicking on the pencil brings up this information where you can fill it in. So this is an asset tracking system, if you will, for what is in your depot. And then as new employees come on, you can grade these things and show what's available. Grade them A, B, C. So if it's an A level, that means like brand new. No one's going to know that someone else had it. And if it's B, maybe there's some minor scratches. And most companies go, if it's a C or D, we don't want it in our depot. We go sell it on the secondary device market. That's kind of where that end of life we talked briefly about. There's a huge value in that, responsibly making sure these devices are either getting repurposed or responsibly data erased and even recycled. On the deployed side, this is what's in the field. Again, this is a tool for you to see all your users, all the pertinent data. We can ingest MDM feeds. We can ingest HR data feeds. This is a 21st century digital system. It's a software using all the latest with algorithms. It really takes all the pain and the challenges and seeing what you have in terms of devices. So even for what's deployed, all the action buttons will open up and give you the ability to make changes to that line. We have customers, about half of our customers go, Chris, we're not in that business. We just want to create the ticket and tell you what to do, and you guys take care of it. We can do that. Or we have other customers that are like, we have someone on the IT team, they're the mobility manager, but we have 5,000 devices, we want to have one person, so they need a better tool because the spreadsheet's not working. So that's where this would come in for what's deployed. So you got two ways of looking at managing assets: what's in the warehouse, what's on hand, or what's coming back in from the field, and then what is actually in the field and who has it. And we even do this thing called data integrity, where generally the HR data feed is it's a truth of source, right? Because HR data feed is what finance is paying payroll on. So generally, whoever's getting a paycheck, that's who's here. So our system can even look at it going, hey, this phone is assigned to Chris Whitaker, but he left 2 weeks ago, or 2 months ago, or whenever, however long ago, and it could flag it going, hey, you have this phone assigned to the wrong person. Who has it now? And by making that automation there, we can either change it based off the IMEI and what's in the HR data feed compared to what's in the MDM data feed compared to what's in the actual carrier. So there's a lot of different ways to make sure that data has integrity and it's accurate.
Without having to go through 1,000-page invoices in order to capture that information. It's all there ready for you to access and see.
Absolutely. If there's any questions there, move on. Here we go.
Now, it's a very easy interface for users to utilize. It's pretty self-explanatory. I don't think doesn't look like it requires too much training to utilize it. Very simple point and click. So many portals that we come across today in the technology area, like you have to translate what this means into English so you can find your way through the portal. This isn't like that. And that's one of the reasons why we love working with SpectraTel. Many of our client partners have limited resources within their IT department. What is the value of utilizing a managed mobility help desk?
Yeah, fantastic area. Yes, ladies first. Anything?
I'll let you cover this, and I'll give you an opinion.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So again, this is another area of necessary evil. It's easy to realize there's not another way to do it better. So case in point, we have a nationwide optometry, clinic, retail shop, big box, and their specialty is making glasses and optometry, and everything is digital. Everything's on a tablet. So we do the staging, kitting, and shipping. I mean, we have a warehouse with a shelf with their name on it, and as they're opening up new stores, as they're bringing on new technicians, they're sending us a ticket, and we are sending out a box with the tablet in it. We put the case on it, the screen protector. We put in there a set of instructions. No matter how detailed the instructions are, the end user receives the box, they open it up, they got questions. Something's not working right. They're trying to follow instructions and maybe it's not working. They can't log on, they can't open the app, or they have questions about the app. So this particular client is like, hey, we have way too much volume. We can't hire enough people in-house, and our IT staff, they're charged with protecting the network. They're really more about even remote desktop support. They're not IT mobility specialists. So we take on those calls. So you can kind of see how, may not be a massive need for every company, but if these devices are part of your revenue creation and they're not working properly, who are they going to call? It's not Ghostbusters, right? Another little story that I love to share, true story, travel a lot. I'll protect the brand as it's a well-known brand, but it was a national rental car facility. And normally I'm kind of in and out. And I get there and there's this long line. I'm like, man, this is never good when you're in a hurry. Finally get to the counter. I'm like, hey, what's going on? You guys, oh, by the way, it's important to note, this was off site, not in an airport. This is like in a neighborhood. And I'm like, hey, normally you guys are well staffed. And I'm kind of in and out here. And they're like, oh yeah, we're having problems with our tablets. They use Zebra devices, a Zebra tablet. It looks like an iPad. And of course, my ears perk up. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? I see behind you on the counter, there's a charging station with 3 more tablets. I'm like, what about those back there? He goes, oh, same problem. I said, well, what's the problem? After every customer, I have to reboot the device because it's just not working. And so you got a frustrated employee, you got frustrated customers, and I'm trying to be the nice guy and say, I get it, man. It's technology. No, this is kind of my area. But I'm just curious, what do you do when this happens? And he goes, well, I'm supposed to call the help desk, but it goes to voicemail. Sure as I'm sitting here, I promise you on my life, that's how the story went. And of course, I'm just going, I can't make this stuff up. I'm like, am I being punked here? Is there a camera? I mean, this is what I do for a living. So obviously a conversation ensued with the manager and able to help them out. But this is happening everywhere. The more we rely on these mobile devices, we talked about, it's impacting revenue and customer experience. And let's not forget employee experience. This new generation of employee, they're expecting technology in the workplace and they want it to work. No one gets too excited about when it doesn't work. So having that help desk that has the expertise, has staff, to be 24/7, 365, and you need someone to answer the call when there's a problem because it's impacting revenue and possibly damaging your reputation.
Definitely. And on top of that, we also have a geo-redundant knock. So in the event that we have to default to our secondary knock, we're always going to have you covered. And we have a 24/7 staff there to support you with your help desk needs.
The bottom line here is that our client partners almost never have all the budget they need or all the staff they need, but they certainly have all the responsibility if something goes wrong. And
That's right.
Leaning on a service like mobile device management is key to them being successful and being able to manage all these things that are being thrown at them with the budget and the resources they're given. We see more of our client partners adding mobile devices to improve the client experience. We spoke about this earlier in that retail example. How can a mobile management platform help them manage their user experience better?
Yeah, I probably got ahead of myself on that one, Rob. But going back to what the expectations are, giving employees, I think as business leaders, we have the responsibility to give our team the right tools. And by giving the right tools, we need to ensure, there's a plan B, so we know whatever that employee experience is, it bleeds into the customer experience. So by addressing all the needs of managed mobility from the very beginning of them opening the box, getting it with instructions and giving that help desk to call, giving them the software needed to ensure that that device is secure and it's going to do what it's meant to do to create revenue. And even for the organization, to reclaim that budget. I mean, I've actually talked to CFOs, going back to the whole employee experience, but sometimes cutbacks and layoffs, that's a big impact on the employee. So we're recognizing how we could save that 30% on a $30,000 bill. I've seen customers where we've, when you add it all up, it can be six figures. At one point, it's almost a little over $250,000 in savings. You don't think that has an impact on the organization as a whole, which trickles down to that employee? So it's a lot more than just the guide enterprise, that the rental facility having a bad experience, having a bad day. So it's just giving the support, making sure it's working.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're seeing more and more of our employees, right, not using their laptops, not using their office phone. People are using their mobile devices. That's what they want to use. And the challenge with that is if you're not using a service like this and you're not securing those devices, you could be inviting some challenges to your network. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. One more thing that I almost forgot to mention. I'm seeing that same trend, that stat you're seeing there. I mean, so much can be done just on an iPhone. Yeah. I'm seeing a trend of companies getting away from laptops. Because again, they're a nice iPad Pro, call it, $1,000, $1,200. It's going to last 5-6 years. It doesn't glitch up. It's solid. It's lighter. So I'm seeing companies getting away from laptops, going to iPads or Samsung Android tablets, getting a Bluetooth keyboard, and it's lighter. And a lot of the remote desktop as a service, there's a lot of that in the market where a lot of the stuff's in the cloud, so you don't need that same compute power. That migration from laptops to tablets, that's a big process. It's a big project. How are you accounting for these devices? How are you getting them back in? How are you grading them? Maybe selling them on the secondary device market. All these areas we can help with. So that the migrations and the tech refreshes is a whole other topic we could really unpack.
Fantastic. And all those things are happening as you explained, for sure.
Yeah.
Can a mobile device management platform ensure compliance for regulated industries? GDPR, HIPAA, CCPA. What can you tell us about compliance with regard to mobile devices?
Yeah. Another solid question to be thinking about if your industry is regulated or you have compliance. Even if you're just a retailer, I mean, there's, you're collecting credit card information, personal, customer proprietary information. All these areas should be a concern because how that data is being stored, whether it be in the cloud. Obviously, that's another thing. We're going back to how is that device, what cloud is that device connected to? But that's more of an MDM conversation. So this is an extension of the conversation we talked about earlier, whether you're properly utilizing Microsoft Intune, SOTI, Mobile Iron, or the one that we provide is IBM's MOS 360, which is consistently rated in the top 3 globally. So it's a good question for your IT. If you don't have a CISO or whoever is managing your network, it's one of those inventory questions. You need to take inventory. How are you doing for compliance, and what's our business focused on? What risk or liabilities do we have as an organization, and can we show that we're properly mitigating those risks by using technology?
Absolutely. Compliance, not fun. Work with experts, make your life easier. Could you share a success story where a business significantly improved its operations after adopting a mobile management solution?
Yes. So it's interesting. It's the same customer I kind of mentioned already with the optometry store nationwide. They had about 5,000 tablets they needed to deploy. This is kind of where the relationship really blossomed and grew. About 5,000 tablets that they needed to swap out. And it was approaching the holiday season, even though that's a year-round thing. They say, actually, a lot of people still get, eyeglasses for, the custom glasses, sunglasses, whatnot. So they're like, we really need this done by October 1st. And we had about 45 days. And their original plan was to do it all in-house. So by working with us, and we have actually open recs, and we leverage every kind of resource we can. But we had an operation at our fulfillment center here in the States, and within that time frame, got them all delivered to them. And of course, the help desk was a play in that because, again, no matter how much we try to put the instructions on there, there's always someone that has a question. And oddly enough, usually it was the doctor, right? It was the physician. They're super smart when it comes to some things, technology. They need that extra layer of support. So this was a migration opportunity. They had a deadline to hit, and they just didn't have the staff to do it themselves. And not only were we able to do that, but securing these devices, that was another layer of operations they just didn't have the skill set for. So securing the devices and meeting their deadline and getting it into the hands of their employees so they could make money for the company, that was a big win for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Just another quick one to kind of come to mind. We have an international utility company. They basically run power plants around the globe, and I kind of mentioned it a little bit with the portal. But the customer will have their technicians and their engineers, hop around, literally not state to state, but country to country. So if maybe this particular employee was just going to the UK, once a quarter, they didn't want to pay for that international long distance calling plan, for 12 months out of the year because they were only there, once a quarter. So by deploying a warehouse management process with us, we were able to take away a lot of that manual calling in and changing it, or logging into the portal and changing it. And once they were in country and started making calls, all software, because of the APIs into the carrier, every 4 hours, we caught it. It was like, okay, they're now in the UK. Apply that international calling plan to that line, not the whole account, just that line. And then the following billing cycle, no calls being made from the UK. We just take it off the account. So it's really cool to see how you leveraging a properly deployed solution works all the time. That's one thing about it. When I find when technology fails us, it's usually because of human error, right? It's usually somewhere along the line a human being messed it up, right? But software does what it's programmed to do, and it definitely added some value there for the customer.
Absolutely. So as we move along, I think the next question becomes, well, how do I get started? Is this a fit for me? And for our client partners that may have an interest in utilizing an MMS solution, is there a way to identify if they would see a benefit without having to go through and sign, paperwork and buy the service? Is there some methodology that you can show them and tell them about that would help them identify if they're a fit?
Yeah, we can take inventory. Typically we tend to see that a customer that has over 100 devices, whether that's a blend of the smart phones and tablets, anything over 100, we tend to see a lot of benefit. But we can have a look at all of their inventory, and we can create a summary that will essentially provide all of the savings upfront. We will also offer a proof of value. I'll let Chris talk a little bit about that. Huge benefit, though, very beneficial for our customers. We do a lot of upfront work, a lot of due diligence to really prove out essentially what we're here to help with. Chris, if you want to take it from there, we can talk a bit about that POV.
Yeah, absolutely. So, just to kind of dive a little deeper into what Jess was talking about, we do this complementary data analysis. Some people call it a savings analysis. So it's no obligation. We schedule about a 15 to 20-minute call, and one of our analysts will work with you, and especially whoever is managing your carrier portal. And because we don't have an LOA in place yet, we need your help for this first part. And we'll direct you through your portal and download raw data detail, inventory reports, ideally 3 months of invoices, some screenshots of where your contract terms are. By doing all that, that allows our software and our analysts, it's about 3 or 4 business days. We come back to you, we'll schedule a follow-up call and present to you the savings. Had you been our client during these last 90 days, here's all the areas that we identified that you're overspending. So once we do that, again, most of the time, if I'm saving you $10 a device and I'm charging you $5 a device, you're still walking away with, at least $5 a device savings, right? Times hundreds or thousands of devices in the field. So this is one of the few times you can leverage technology and it pays for itself literally. So it's either budget neutral or budget positive in most cases. And when we present that savings to you, I feel like at least half the time it's kind of like, this is too good to be true. Why can't I just call my carrier rep and just really grind them and, get some better rates on my contract? 2 thoughts there. One, yeah, you can call your carrier and fix the glitch for now. But as we kind of talked about, devices with no usage, international calls, people on the wrong data plans, all these things add up over time. So fixing the glitch one time is not really a solution. That's just a one-time, that's a Band-Aid. And second, we do provide a 30-day proof of value. So once we have done the analysis, we presented it, we've done a scope of work call, and you're like, you know what? I think this is exactly what we need. In our agreement, so there is a formal agreement, because we're saying, hey, once we both agree this is what you need and it works, we'll implement everything, do the onboarding, and then after that first billing cycle, give you that 10-day period to reassess and reevaluate, saying, yep, this did exactly what you said it was going to do. I love it. We've even identified other areas of the business that you're saving us time for. So we'll continue on. Or you can say, hey, thank you, but no thank you. And then we just kind of part as friends.
And the key thing here is the big word at the top, complementary. So you're not paying to do this analysis, and you come away understanding before you get deep into the project whether it's going to benefit you or not. So I think it's a sane way of doing this and seeing if this is a fit for your business before you go through the whole process. So this is a great solution. Jess, anything you want to add to that?
Customers love this, and we're here to help support. If you want to have us take a look, we're definitely happy to dive in and provide you with this great detail and information. And we're excited at the opportunity.
Well, great. I want to open the chat up to any questions from our audience that anyone has for Chris or Jess. Now is a great opportunity to ask those questions. I'll also be providing you with contact information here on the screen. If you need to reach out to me to set a meeting with Jess and Chris, we can talk through the solution, your environment, do the analysis, find out if there's a benefit, right? And then take the next steps as appropriate. So any questions? Now's your chance. The chat's open. And while we're waiting for a few questions, I do want to thank, Chris and Jess from Spectre Tel for coming on, sharing your knowledge. It's certainly a lot of knowledge, a lot of expertise here, and a lot of benefits for our client partners. That I find that the mobile device side of things, people have these cell phones and they're trying to manage them as best they can, and not everyone has some sort of operational program to do that. And this is a heavy lift for our IT partners that don't have the staff and don't have the budget. And this solution is one of the very best and easy to use. Great support. Jess, I've worked with you for 20 years. I know you're going to take my phone call on a Saturday if somebody has a problem with their MDM solutions. So, thank you for that. I don't see any questions. So any final comments from Chris or Jess?
Just thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you so much. And take inventory, ask yourself, are you happy with how efficient and effective this part of your business? And in fact, obviously, Jess can help you with so many other parts. We're focusing just on mobility today. There's so many other areas of the tech stack that Jess can help with, from connectivity and SD-WAN and POTS transformation. There's a lot there, but just don't settle for good enough. It's okay to ask, is there a better way? Is there a better way we could do this easier for the employees? Again, everyone was trying to get more out of their employees. It's just the reality of the world we're in. So what kind of tools you're using, what kind of policies and programs you have in place. So that's one thing I love about Rob and his team. There's a lot of opportunities where he can add value for you there. So thanks for having us.
No, we're glad you were here. It's been a blast. I do want to remind our audience that if you don't have a budget for mobile device management and you feel that you need a budget, that's okay. We can help you. We can oftentimes do audits on other areas of your business, of technology, such as your internet connection or your voice products, data products, and find that savings that propels you and offers you the ability to invest in a mobile device management solution like we presented today. So don't stop because you're worried you don't have the funds. We can help you find those funds elsewhere in your spend and make it available for this solution. So once again, I want to thank our expert panel, Chris Whitaker, Jess Anderson, for joining us. We do this every month. We'll see everybody next month as we do another virtual roundtable. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.